way into the kitchen with our first guest. And as you know, we have been celebrating June weddings all month long. So today we are going to make a strawberry olive oil ricotta cake that's decadent enough for your wedding reception, but light enough so you can have like 4 or 5 or 6 pieces, right? Yes. Right. Welcome back, our good friend, Courtney Rich. Welcome back, Courtney. Thank you. This is delicious. Joining Cam at the counter are Paigey and Ken. Everyone's very excited.
Ready to dig in. I like that you already have your cake and you can just start eating. And I
have it and eat it
Oz, but we're working.
Olive oil is healthy.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
strawberries
That's what
are
I'm going
healthy,
with.
right?
Yes,
It's strawberries.
it is. It's a very healthy cake.
I mean, healthy-ish, healthier, I would say.
Yes. If it makes you feel better, yeah, we'll go that way. We'll go that way.
I'm trying, Courtney. So I know that all of your beautiful cakes are always inspired by something. I mean, you make such...
There's a story to all of them.
There really is. So what is the story to this one?
Okay, so I was just in New York a couple weeks ago, and I was at ABC Kitchen in Manhattan, and they had this appetizer, actually, that was a homemade ricotta, just whipped on a plate, and then there was a strawberry compote in the center, drizzled with olive oil, and we ate it with toast. And I just kept going back and having seconds and thirds and sixths and sevenths. But while I was eating it, I just thought, oh, these would be great flavors for a cake. And in my mind, I was coming up with how I could put those flavors in a cake. I got home, said hi to my kids, and got to the kitchen. And I whipped this out, and I'm so excited about it because each of our layers have our olive oil in them. They've got 2 cups of ricotta cheese in them. And then I made a strawberry basil compote that we'll put in the center and a lemon mascarpone light whipped frosting on the outside.
So good.
Your cakes are so impressive, and this one is no different. So we start by whipping together our olive oil and our sugar,
Yes,
right?
so we have the olive oil and sugar in here. Let that mix for just a minute. And then we're gonna add our eggs, just a little bit at a time. We like everything that's coming from the fridge to be room temperature. That helps everything to blend really well. The dry ingredients absorb our wet ingredients better when they're room temperature, and then that means our cake is gonna rise really nicely. We have some lemon zest also in our cake.
And I would like to point out that the olive oil keeps the cake moist.
Yes.
So it's going to stay more moist for the 2nd and 3rd and 4th day. It's not going to dry out.
I actually think this cake gets better with each day, which isn't usual for a cake.
No, it's olive oil that makes it better.
Oh, it's so good. And then, and that kind of replaces our butter. So oil works in that way. We have our flour now and our leavening agents, and we're going to alternate our flour. I should lower that just a little bit so we're not totally splashing all over. And then we'll put in some of our ricotta.
So I have a question about the olive oil. Like, I don't taste any olive oil taste. So do you need to use one of the olive oils that is like less good, like that doesn't have that?
All olive oil will be fine. I've made it a couple times now. I've used light, but I also like the extra virgin olive oil. I think you do get a little bit more of the flavor there.
It's like
I wouldn't use a flavored olive oil. That's what you're asking.
Truffle
like,
olive oil.
you know, a cayenne pepper olive oil perhaps is not.
Ooh, but a lemon
recommended.
Olive oil would be.
A
lemon infused olive oil would be
Even
wonderful.
Basil infused olive oil because you did the basil.
It brings out those
So I take it
flavors.
back. Use it. Use it and let us know how it goes.
Okay, so we'll just finish adding this. And when we're done mixing everything, and on a low speed, we don't want to overmix. That will cause our cakes to sink and become dense. So we will then pour these into our cake pans. I use 8-inch cake pans, and we'll bake at 350 for about 23 minutes, but always watch your cakes. You've got to get to know your oven because some of our ovens will bake a little faster than others, so be really careful there.
And I know you said this is very versatile, so you've got some great suggestions for different swap outs, different things that you could use instead.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we've got our frosting that has mascarpone. We can put cream cheese in there instead. We could switch out our berries if you're allergic to strawberries or just don't like them. Use blackberries, use raspberries, blueberries will work too, or you could get a store-bought strawberry jam and then just add a little basil to it.
Okay, so then after we take our cakes out and we let them cool, then we start to layer and build the cake.
So we've got 2 layers already. And what we want to do, we don't want to just put our jam right in because we don't want it to seep into the cake layers. So we're going to put some of our frosting here, create a little barrier between this and the cake.
So is this just mascarpone? What is this?
This has got some of our powdered sugar. It's got some mascarpone. It's got some lemon in there. And some butter as well.
Nice.
So just even that out.
You've done that once or twice.
Yeah.
Mesmerizing.
Or like 7,000 times if you've watched her social media.
All the videos. Okay, but Debbie, you might want to try this too. I'm going to go half. Okay. Now you finish this off. We want to pipe a rim of frosting around the edge, and we're going to add our soft compote in here.
Because that's like a dam, right?
Yes,
it's going to
hold
protect
everything
the jam
in.
from, and it's very important not to over
Yes, we were talking about this. So we don't want to put too much of this filling in here.
Overstuffed.
This is why I love you. I'm the same. I can't have a bakery because I'm just gonna like sit and lick my food. But if we overfill it, the cake will become wobbly. So we're gonna compromise the structure of the cake. So just enough that we've got a layer of the filling in here. And then what we can do with the extra, because you'll have extra, serve a little bit with each slice of cake. And you're almost like
on the
dip.
side.
Yeah, you can kind of dip.
it's
You
like
get
a
a little
dipping
bit more.
sauce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
we'll-
Courtney, I wanted to ask you, what is the tart that I'm tasting? It
Uh,
is so good.
It's the mascarpone, yes, and then the lemon as well. So it's a great pairing, and then we have the sweet and a little savory too because of the ricotta and the cheese in there.
And how did you make the compote exactly?
Okay, so that's going to be something we do over the stove. We'll just cook our strawberries with a little bit of sugar and then puree it. We'll put it back on the stove with a little cornstarch, our basil, and thicken it. We want to reduce the water content just a little bit so it's much easier and has a little bit more stability.
Okay.
And then we would do our crumb coat. So we'll just do the sides. Let's switch it out.
All right, because it has to go in the refrigerator for how long?
For about 15 minutes, set the crumb coat, and this is what it's going to look like.
And then we put the rest of the icing on.
Remind me again what a crumb coat means.
Okay, so this is a really thin layer of frosting around the entire cake. That locks in our crumbs.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't get like
crumb
messy.
coat. Okay,
Right,
that's
exactly.
Yes, and then we can go back over the cake. And this one, we're kind of doing a semi-naked cake, so I'm not going to add a lot of frosting, but I'll just give us a layer here.
And this really would, I said at the beginning we're doing this to honor June weddings, but truthfully, this would be a beautiful wedding cake.
Oh, absolutely.
Look at this. How gorgeous would that be for a wedding cake?
And a really great flavor too, I think. We want to go a little bit more unique sometimes with our wedding cake flavors and really elegant. This feels sophisticated in the flavors profile here. So we'll just give ourselves like a good turn here, keep it light. And I love a semi-naked cake too because it's kind of rustic. I feel like you don't have to be as perfect as you go around and you're scraping. It's got like a little bit of a rustic look. We'll
this is
just
my
even
favorite
that
cake
out.
tool. It's
A
so
little
cool.
scraper, bench scraper there.
Do you have one of those little turntable things, Deb? One of the little
No,
spinnies?
I don't.
That's
we need to
hardcore.
get you one.
I know, I know.
When you have one of those, you know you're doing some serious decorating.
So
I have a
cool.
lazy Susan.
You know what? A lot of people will use a lazy Susan.
what I
had a
do.
friend like had a huge one that goes in the center of their giant round table.
Yep. Okay.
And
That's a great idea.
And her husband was making it, and just the greatest picture of this huge. But he was doing it the right way. I'm like, hey, you do you. I like it.
We do what we can.
Whatever you have,
Make
whatever
it work.
works.
Yeah. And then this one, I love just kind of adding some fresh berries. We could put some flowers on there as well, and just clean up the top.
And I suppose you could probably switch out the type of cake too and make an angel food cake or a sponge cake or something in there, you know?
I would say no.
Because it's that good?
Because it's
So don't
really
do
good
it.
the way it is.
I love it. Thank you, Paige. And we can just add some of our berries on here.
And some edible flowers.
Yeah, edible flowers are very trendy right now. For
The whole thing
So
is
lovely.
stunning.
Isn't it
Tastes
beautiful?
just as stunning. Well done.
Thank you.
Amazing.
And she did this in real time.
Fun,
It's
and
so good.
it's got like a little wedding cake or just a nice little brunch cake too. You
Right,
can
a
serve
little
at a
brunch.
brunch.
I think it's time for you guys to have a little taste.
Oh gosh,
It's time.
I like that your plates are nearly empty
no, we
already.
love these for
I get
sure.
so caught up in watching her make things that I forget that we're actually on television.
Well, I'm just reminding you, that's all right.